You're either on the bus or you're off the bus.
Welcome aboard episode 25 of Ridin the Bus, the official Iowa Wild podcast presented by Explore Minnesota. Coming at you here from Wells Fargo Arena, Ben Gifslison, Joey Goldstein. And if fans were looking for commitment to the pod, this is it, because we're carving out time in the middle of probably the busiest week of the season, I would say, even though the season hasn't technically started yet. So we're fully committed. We got a great guest coming up today in Nic Petan, someone who I'm sure fans have been just chomping at the bit to hear from. Let's set the stage. Here we are, episode 25. How you doing, partner?
I'm doing good. This is a crazy week. There's just so much happening, and it's like that every year. You come to opening night and the home opener, and there's so much to do, and you're always, I sit there and I'm in bed at night. I'm like, oh, I got to do this, and do you have a notepad? Like, do you roll over and go notes on your phone? Because I have that. I have like bedtime thoughts. Yeah, notes.
No,
mine's a little bit more
broadcast this, broadcast that.
Mine's a little bit more chaotic than that. I just send myself emails, and the subject line is what I need to do. So I could come in one morning, have 10 emails from myself
at like 4 a.m,
spanning from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. Just different things that come to mind. It's like, I pop out of bed and it's like, oh, I forgot about this, or oh, I got to do that. So that kind of stuff pops up throughout. But it's this week. I mean, we had the golf tournament on Monday, which was tremendous. Great time. We raised a ton of money.
Congratulations to Adam Beckman. And no, it wasn't Adam Beckman. They thought it was the Tito's group that won. Who ended up winning again? There was a dispute about this.
I don't remember.
Okay, well, good. Someone out there listening knows who won. But I thought it was going to be the Tito's Beckman group because he was talking about it all day, and there was a card off because there was a tie. I think it was 16 under.
Oh, really? Yeah, I wasn't. I was eating my dinner at that point.
And celebrating, by the way. I shouldn't even bring it up.
Well, that's the thing. Here we go.
Probably were set to bring it up today.
And I think a lot of people thought I was, lying about it. I heard some jeers as I got up to collect my handshake, which I didn't even win anything for this. But close to the pin, which I never win. It was our last hole of the day was at Copper Creek. It was the hole 12, so the par 3 where the house is up in the back.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's a long par 3
stuck too. And it must have been, 2 feet, 3 feet maybe from the pin. It was just inside the next closest marker, and we went up and the guy who owns the house, right next to the green, he's like, you're the winner. He goes, you guys are definitely the last group. Nobody's beating that. And so, put my name down, took it with me. Embarrassed to say that myself, my father who golfed with us, Brent Arnold, Tim Hicklin, and Carson Lambos, we used all of our mulligans to hit this putt, and none of us made it. It was, we all missed the putt. That wasn't great. Fortunately, it was automatic par either way because you're, 2 putts or whatever. But
you got what you needed closest to the pin. You were there for the accolades, not for the score.
Yeah. So, but that was a good time. We raised a lot of money. It was a lot of fun. So, like I was saying though, but to have the whole day on Monday be spent outside the office for this week where there's so much to prep for, it's a lot. I mean, Marquise is cranking away. He's behind the scenes right now working on videos for opening night. So
he's editing.
We are cranking through because we're trying to run. We're recording this on Wednesday. We'll peel behind the curtain. Recording this on Wednesday, the week of opening night. Tomorrow, Thursday, we're hoping to do our a game ops run through of things. Well, we've got to get that done by a certain time because figure skating group comes in. There's a youth high school hockey group that comes in, so they're going to take the ice till about 8:30. So if we can't get things uploaded and tested, that means we're coming back in at 9 to then come in for a very long day on Friday for opening night. So we want to make sure everything runs without a hitch. We want things to run smoothly, make sure things work. So there's just a lot of moving parts, and that's just on the the game ops presentation side. There's so many other elements, ticket sales, those things they got to get ready for, and sponsorship, and make sure that the concourse looks good, and mix in the fact that on the marketing side we got 2 new hires who started in the last week. So getting them up to speed, there's so much happening. But all things considered, I think everybody feels like they're in a good spot. It's a stressful week. There's so many things happening, but everybody's in the same boat. So it's not like 3 or 4 people are more stressed than others. I think everybody's feeling it, but that's working sports. It's what we sign up for, and when we get to Friday and puck drops and we get to the final whistle on Saturday, it's going to be great because we're expecting to have a great weekend, and from what we've seen in the preseason, we think the production on the ice is going to be outstanding too.
now is certainly the time for everybody on this staff where you reap the rewards of the mid-June day that you came in and did something.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about this in the podcast before, how you can't forget about your duties even in May or June when you think, well, I've got 3-4 months now.
It catches up to you quick.
You have to make sure that you're slowly kicking the ball down the field a little bit, or else you're going to realize you're still on your own 20 and you got a minute to go.
Yep.
So this is an official shout out and a big thank you to everybody. And this, I could even probably speak for the fans on this one listening that are going, I didn't maybe know there was this much behind the scenes. Some of them do for sure.
There's
a
lot.
The ones that don't, thank your ticket rep. If you see a corporate sponsor person, thank them. If you see Joey or anybody on the marketing side, if you see Marquise.
Merchandise. The stuff Kelsey and Morgan are doing right. They have, first of all, I mean, if you know, our merchandise is sick. Like, we got some really cool stuff.
It is far and away.
There's even cooler stuff in this year, but they've gotten, over the last 3 weeks, they've gotten thousands and thousands of items that they have to go and tag and price and give inventory. Like, they've been working really, really hard.
It's far and away the department we've talked about most on this podcast. It really is.
It's like, the coolest stuff.
It is. It's so cool.
Who doesn't like repping the team and like?
And it just keeps coming. I'm like, when is she going to run out of ideas?
Well, it's because there's like fall catalog stuff, and then the spring stuff rolls in. So she's on the money. Yeah.
But it really is. It's such a team effort, and the hours are exhausting, and it's for everybody. To your point, Joey, there isn't one person right now who isn't sun up to sundown grinding, and that's what it takes. That's what it takes to run an organization the way that this organization needs to be ran, and the goal is world class. That's the goal that we have, and in order to get there, that's what it takes. And on the ice, world class is what Brett McLean and his staff are looking for. It was a lot of offense in the preseason. It's obviously preseason. I said this on the broadcast. Just because you win big in the preseason or you lose big in the preseason, it goes both ways. So Rockford's leaving these 2 games having been scored on 13 times and going, it's okay, it's the preseason. Brett McLean and his staff, I'm sure, are leaving going, well, our offense seems to be the way we want it to be, but there's always a but in the preseason. But to double down on that but, a lot of goals. And as I talked about on the broadcast on Friday night, if you tuned in on YouTube, was not only the goal output, but the way they were being scored. And really the thing that jumped out to me about this team was they don't give the puck up. And it's such a stark difference to the way the Tim Army regime ran. And this isn't saying one is better than the other, because Tim Army's teams defensively were typically some of the best in the league. But from an entertainment value, from just coming into a hockey arena and watching hockey happen perspective, this is more entertaining. What we saw over the weekend is more entertaining. Now, will it be a winning product? Time will tell. But this is an extremely fun brand of hockey to watch. The connectivity between not only the forwards, but you've got D joining all the time, whether it's Kyle Masters. I thought Carson Lambos was really good on that Friday night game. He's maybe not as much the offensive dynamo as a Masters is, or a Spacek. Some of these young defensemen we're seeing come in. It looks like Simon Johansson had a really good offseason on the back end. It's going to be young back there. We didn't even get to see Damon Hunt, who was great in the small sample size in Minnesota before he got hurt playing NHL preseason games. And the big question I have on the back end coming into this weekend specifically is, I think Jared Spurgeon's hurt.
Yeah.
So to me, and again, this isn't speaking with any prior knowledge about team services. I've heard nothing about this from a team services. Do I have to get Dakota Murmis to Minnesota perspective? But
you would imagine
he's the guy.
You would imagine somebody has to go, because you can run with 6, but like, it's probably better to have a 7th, because you never know what happens.
I would imagine. So I'm wondering, could we start opening night with Brendan Miller as your oldest blue liner on the back end? That could be it. That's pure rumor mill.
Not a bad person to have back on your
not
blue
at all.
line,
I mean, again, and another reason why you're thanking yourself right now for signing him in the offseason, because this scenario could very well play out again and again and again, depending on what Minnesota needs up top.
And it's tough when you're cap crunched the way that they are too.
Yes, and Murmis probably is the guy. So if that call happens, which it could, then all of a sudden you're very grateful to have at least one guy who's close to 30 on that back end, because the rest are 22 and under, and that's what you got.
And you hope that a guy like O'Rourke and Johansson, like they've got a year under their belt. O'Rourke a year plus, having been here during the shortened season. So like, you hope that they've got that experience and they kind of know what to expect. Not that the younger guys don't. But yeah, like you said, there's the puck possession is one thing, but you talked about the defense. That's one thing that stood out to me right away on Friday is they are a lot more active in this system, this scheme that Coach McLean has them running than they were in the previous one, which is great. But the way like you said, the way that they're scoring, and like they were just, and I don't know much about Rockford. I'm sure they're not as strong as they were last year, just given Chicago's situation. But there were like the goal Sammy Walker scored where Petan basically rope-a-doped everybody behind the net and passed it to where nobody was. Like the goal Vinny Lettieri scored on the power play. Jaw-dropping.
Yeah,
there were some jaw-dropping goals where it was like, wow.
Or
like
when Petan and Lettieri were playing pitch and catch rink wide, passing the puck through the low slot area twice, somehow through everybody, and then finding Novak for a centering.
Who looked phenomenal.
Yeah, he looked really good.
Looked great.
It's really a group up front, and it's great we're getting to it because obviously we're going to talk to Nic Petan here shortly.
So deep, just such a deep group, and there were guys who weren't even like.
Nick Swaney didn't play in that game.
Swaney didn't play.
Right now, Nick Swaney on the depth chart might be on your third line.
Jujhar Khaira didn't play.
Yeah.
So like there are guys who are gonna have an impact who we still haven't even seen yet. So it's just we've been saying it for so long. I'm so excited. But like now that it's here and we've played hockey and the opener is coming, I cannot wait.
Either can I. Nic Petan, before we get to him, when you were preparing for this interview, he's someone that our fans have come to adore for obvious reasons. First and foremost, point per game wise, one of the best in the American League last year. That was something I never noted. I never thought about. Brett McLean actually brought it up with me this summer. I wrote it down somewhere. Nic Petan last season was the only player in the American League that had 60-plus points who played less than 60 games. I mean, he had a fabulous year. He played just 53 games because he was hurt a little bit, and then he also spent a significant amount of time in Minnesota, too. So when he was here, he was scoring. And down the stretch last year, there was no one better in a Wild uniform than him. He had absurd numbers in the final month of the season. He was such a factor to why the Wild scored. And the one question that our fans are really going to love the answer to, because I was really excited to ask him this, is how excited are you, Nic Petan, to have scored the way he scored in that defensive scheme that Tim Army ran, and now
be here where it's opened up.
The doors are opening up, the gates are opened, and Brett McLean is saying, you go out and you do what you want to do to create offense. And I mean, Nic Petan has an endless amount of schemes in his mind for how he wants to create offense. And we talk about that too. This guy, his courage to make plays is unparalleled. He'll try anything. I mean,
listen,
he will literally try anything.
There's a reason. There's a reason he's the Wizard, right? He does some unbelievable things with the puck. Now, there were times last year where maybe he tries to do something, he turned the puck over.
That's how it goes.
That's going to happen.
Yep. You live and die by the sword when you play the way he does.
But it's I think that last year, for having the production that he had in that that amount of time and a system that was very defensive minded, to be able to take that now and really run with it. And he was a driver really if you think of offensively for us last year, he was the guy. Like we went as he went. If he wasn't playing well, we weren't really going too far. So to have him take that this year in a more wide open scheme kind of gives you goosebumps thinking about it.
Yes. And the last thing I'll say before we get to Nick is right when I first saw him come in and I saw him make some of those just absurd plays and some of the tries that he'd make that wouldn't pan out, initially I went, is this just one of those soft skill guys who's just out there to make pretty plays? And as the season went on, the more I watched him, the more I saw the little things he did. This guy is a fierce competitor. He is as skilled as you can believe he is, but he also has the other side of his game where this guy hates to lose. He hates to make mistakes. He wants to win. He wants to score. And he's not just out there to pad his stats. He wants to win. And a fierce competitor, a tremendous golfer. We get into that. A big restaurateur. We get into that. Most importantly, as he's known throughout these areas of our world, the Wizard, the one and only Nic Petan. Let's get to it now.
Before we get to our interview with Nic Petan, we got to shout out our sponsor, Explore Minnesota. Let Minnesota's amazing food scene fuel your next fall adventure. Taste test your way through small towns to find the best scoop of ice cream, discover the world's best burger or craft beverage. For travel inspiration, tips, and more, visit exploreminnesota.com. Not bad.
Well done.
Pretty good
I
segue.
I opened the door before we hit record
Yeah.
to say, Nick, feel free to give him some grief if he stumbles on it, but I
Well
don't think there
done.
was anything to go there. A nice pick, too, Joey.
I pivoted
Clearly
at the
you
last
you
minute. I wasn't going
pivoted
to do that one, and then I read it.
because we've got some restaurant life in there, some food life in here, and we've got the local Des Moines food expert on the Iowa Wild roster with us, and the leading scorer from a season ago, Nic Petan, is with us here today. Nick, thanks so much for parking some time for us. We're looking forward to this.
Thank you for having me.
Riding the bus. We want to put fans next to you on the bus like you're swapping old war stories. Tell us about a great time or a great story on the bus in the Nic Petan journey.
I'll talk a little bit about last year. I don't have a specific story, but I'll kind of run through our bus. You know, there's the rookies at the front, so we give them a hard time and, you know, ask them for stuff just for fun. But then there's like the movie guys, myself, folks, and then there's the card players, and we kind of give them a hard time too because they're pretty loud, but they have fun. And I think it's just it's grouped up into sections. So if you can think about, you know, younger guys, movie guys, card guys, but everyone has fun.
Who are the guys that need to be told to quiet down on occasion that are playing cards?
I don't want to throw anyone under the bus.
I feel like we've had people throw a couple guys under the bus for
It
being
depends on the
loud, too.
player. Yeah,
Yeah.
it depends on the player.
Yeah.
You know what? I love music, but sometimes when it's 3 a.m. and they're playing the music so loud, but I think there's one guy that sticks out to everyone, and it's Adam Beckman. He's
Every
gotta,
time.
He's got to tone it down just a bit.
Without
He knows
fail.
it too. He just does it on purpose. Yeah. Yeah.
What are so you said you're one of the movie guys on the bus. Do you have are you just kind of watching different movies? Do you have some that you always watch? What's your kind of go-to
Well,
genre?
there's a few of us like Fogarty and Nick Swainey's a kind of a show guy. And we kind of say, oh, what are you watching now? Or we'll talk about it. And then like last year I went through the whole Sopranos and all that. So I told them about that. And again, I think they started watching it. And then we flip movies back and forth. But I like a nice, peaceful bus ride. Yeah.
What are you watching right now? If there's someone out there looking for their next binge, what can they watch?
Right now, actually nothing. But during training camp a couple of weeks ago, I finished Top Boy, which is on Netflix.
All right.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one yet.
And I told Michael Leary to watch it, and he watched it. So there you go.
And did he give it the seal of approval?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he
just
liked it.
finished it yesterday. Actually, he said he liked it. Yeah.
Nick, a lot to talk with you about today. You're such an interesting guy because much like a lot of the guys that have been around pro hockey a long time, there's a lot more to Nic Petan than just the wizardry we see on the ice night in and night out, which is what most of our fans will know most about you, is watching you put up point after point after point last year in your first tour of duty with the Iowa Wild. And I want to start where I like to start with a lot of guys, but I know for you this is a big summer getaway for you, and that's golf. And that this summer specifically, you did a lot of traveling for golf. What can you tell us about some of the places you've been to? How many maybe different states or provinces did you get yourself to play some golf in the Pasture Pool this season?
Yeah, traveled quite a bit. Mostly I had surgery early on in May, so I was out for a bit, but then got back into it. Where I'm from, BC, I played kind of all up and down BC, and then actually on my way here, I stopped in Idaho, Coeur d'Alene course, and then I stopped in Montana, Anaconda, and then Bismarck, North Dakota. So it was awesome. My cousin came with me, so we played and took our time getting over here, and it was a nice trip.
Of all those courses you just mentioned, if I had to pick one to go to, which one would you send me to?
I played a course called Tobiano in Kamloops, BC. Actually, Joe Hickett's is from there, so that was a beautiful course this summer. I would say that's probably one of the top ones I've played this summer.
Okay. I've been once. I've never played golf up there, and I instantly wanted to go back. I know it's where you're from. Obviously, you know it very, very well up there. Do you get outdoors a lot? Aside from golf, is that something that you spend a lot of time doing when you're back home in the summer?
I try to. Mostly it's for golf, but I like hiking. Going little hikes here and there. Not crazy, but if I can get on the lake, I get on the lake. I live in Kelowna, so it's kind of like a little lake town, and head to the beach whenever. And yeah, I like being outside and playing sports.
On the golf side of it, so obviously you played at some nice ones this summer. If you had to pick like your favorite course, best course you ever played, what would that be? Same question goes for you too. I want to know what your answer would be.
That's so tough. I'd like to play way more courses I've been recommended to play, but maybe so far I would have to say I really enjoyed the Coeur d'Alene, the floating green course. I know there's a lot better courses out there, but something about just the atmosphere was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. What about you?
The two that come to mind, when we were in Palm Springs last year, I got to play a course called the Plantation out there, which was excellent. I really enjoyed that. I think Max Homa's a member there, I'm pretty sure. And then there's a course, I actually played it for my bachelor party many years ago now, at least starting to date myself, back in 2019, and it was called Superior National up north, past Northland Country Club, I believe is where the retreat played for the Minnesota Wild the last few seasons.
Just north of Duluth.
Yeah, that's a great course too. I've played that.
Yeah.
But Superior National up in the Northwoods there was incredible. The views of Lake Superior. You get those views at Northland as well.
Yeah, it was
it's a pretty
beautiful.
fun area to play.
Yeah.
So I would probably go Superior National or that Plantation course in which was, I think it was Indio, California, just north of Palm Springs.
There you go. Just taking mental notes where I've got to go.
Yeah. Ask him more than me for sure. What was your best score this summer?
This summer it was 75. So
What's your best score ever?
74.
Well, God, you were close.
Yeah.
Did you know you were close?
Yeah.
Did you hear it in his voice? He's not still kicking himself about it.
Oh, I am. Like, I was playing good, and then like 15, 16, 17 came around, and I just kind of blew it. It would have been like I mean, you can always say coulda, woulda, shoulda, but like it could have been like a 71, 72. Yeah, I kind of blew up, but
so the rail, you came off the rails.
I'm over it, but I'm not really over it. Yeah.
Nic Petan, just like us.
Yeah.
Except a lot better. Let's get to the ice, Nick. No surprise, golf is a great game of yours because the skill level we get to watch on a nightly basis, it's a thing to behold. It's jaw-dropping at times. And the first thing I noticed, I think in the first time you wore an Iowa Wild sweater, it might have been night one because I don't think we saw you in the preseason last year. I want to say the first 5 passes you threw in that game were a saucer pass. And I was calling the game going like, does this guy ever just make a pass on the ice? Your saucer passes are incredible. I mean, they're never waffling. They're always flat. And you can do it on your backhand as well as you can do it on your forehand. Has this been something that you've just always been able to do, or did you hone this craft over your time?
Yeah, I think kind of growing up, I mean, I always worked on it, so I kind of got better and better, but I think it just comes natural now. And then once I turned pro in Winnipeg, I kind of just heard guys talk about it, and they're asking me, little things, and I think it just comes natural now, where it's kind of just the flick. But yeah, it's kind of hard to explain. I just kind of do it.
God, it is an art. It is art. It is absolute artistry to watch. When
My
you
favorite's
get it going.
on the power play where up on the side, just the quick flip over the defenseman right to the guy at the blue line.
That's my favorite too.
It's the go-to.
But when
I watched it plenty last year.
When it gets knocked down, it's unfortunate. But yeah.
And I wanted to get to that too, Nick, because to play like you play, you have to have courage, because the plays that you try to make, they don't always work out in the Wilds or in your team's fashion. Sometimes they go the other way. Now, you're one of those players that you make them more than you don't, which is why you're such a successful professional athlete. How did you work up that courage to try to make those plays? Because there's times, I'm sure, where you have to go back to the bench and you take your wounds because it gets turned over and it goes the other way. Talk about earning that courage, because it's probably not something that – well, I know it's not something everybody can do.
Yeah, I think it comes with repetition and then starts with practice too. So in practice, obviously your courage level is a lot higher. You can try a lot more things. And then in a game, I feel like, not always, you got to read the situation, and you don't, you're playing for your teammates too. You're not just playing for yourself. So you want to make sure you're not always doing these plays. You're not always risking to make, the grade A play. So I try and just find a fine line, and then I think it comes just from repetition and doing it over and over again. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Let me lead with this before I start this question. The shootout move that you have is a thing of beauty, and it's so simple. And I don't think anyone from any other teams are going to be listening to this so you can lay out the secret of it. I mean, they have film.
You never know.
I mean, they watch it. But where did that move come from?
I don't even know. Maybe not too long ago, like maybe a year or two ago, maybe before that. I'm not sure. But I tried it once, and it's just like a little flick. There's really nothing much to it. But even yesterday we're doing a little shoot-on practice, and Zeno kind of knows it. So I didn't do it on the first one, and then 20 minutes later I tried it and it worked. So I'm like, so in my head I'm like, even if they know it's coming, maybe it still has a chance. But I got to figure out a secondary option here too. Yeah, yeah.
But the thing that's crazy about guys with signature shootout moves, I think about like a Mikko Koivu, who did it for so long in Minnesota, the big backhand sweeping move. Everybody seemed to always know it was coming, but time and time again, he would do it and score. Why do you think that is? Why do you think people can just keep going back? Maybe there's just some moves that are so good. What are you going to do? You can't stop it.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of puck placement and kind of your speed, and once you master it, I think you believe it's going to go in more times than not. So if you have that belief and you're coming down, you're like, all right, I'm going to score. Most of the time you're going to score.
Back to that courage side again.
Think that way all the time. That'd be great.
It'd be great.
I got to adopt more of that just in my general life. I can do this. I will do this. I believe I will do this.
There you go.
This new system now, I want to talk about this coming year. It's young, it's new, but you had massive success, obviously, last year in a much more defensively driven scheme. Not that this year's Iowa Wild team is not going to defend, far from it. But when you look at the way at least the opening preseason games have gone, it feels different. It looks different. More puck possession, less chipping pucks, less getting things deep, and more keeping the puck on the Wild's tape. How excited does that have you as an offensive dynamic guy who has just oodles of creativity to play in a system that likely is going to be very offensively driven?
Yeah, no, I think everyone's super excited, but again, just finding that fine line where we can hold on to pucks for forever, and we have the personnel to do so, but there's times where we got to get to the net, we got to get gritty, because we do have a lot of skill, but I think the new kind of theme is to go north and not always bring pucks back, which is totally fair, and just kind of makes our team go north, and that makes us more aggressive offensively.
What's the path for this team to be successful this season? Is it to lean so heavily on the offense that you guys are going to win 5-4 with this young blue line? I mean, you have a goaltending tandem that arguably could be one of the best in the league. I mean, Zane is one of the better goalies in the last decade of American Hockey League stats, and then you've got Jesper Wallstedt, who was ranked as the top prospect goalie coming out of the season last year. How do you see this team winning games this year?
It's definitely early to tell, but I'm excited, obviously, for the first game of the season. Yeah, like you said, it's a young blue line, but there's three guys there. I think three guys that have played all last season, so they know what it is. They know what the league's about. I don't think they should be getting as such of a hard time as everyone's given them. I think everyone has full confidence in them, and then obviously we have an older forward group, but I think we mesh together well. It's a close group in the room. I just think if we stick together and everyone kind of does their job and works hard, we should have a hot start for sure.
One thing this blue line can do is get engaged in the rush. You've got some great skating defensemen back there. As an offensive guy, when you know you're likely going to have a fourth player joining you, how much more offense can that help create this year?
It's awesome. 3-on-2s turn into 4-on-2s and things like that. So it's always nice to know that they're coming, and you just kind of hope that all of us get back in time when it's time to play defense. Yeah.
I cannot wait to see it. I can see it in my mind, that Nic Petan hold up on the wall and a late D joining on the weak side and that beautiful looping saucer pass right on the tape. It's going to happen a lot. I'm excited to see it.
I am too.
Whether someone gave you the nickname prior or not, I'm taking the credit for it. this wizard nickname. Can we?
It's crazy. Never had it before except for being here, but the guys on the team love it. I don't know if I love it. They call me the Wizard. It's hilarious.
Can we, I guess, whether we get your permission or not, we're probably going to do it. Create some merch, Nic Petan Wizard style merch and whatnot.
You're all for it? I mean, like you said, permission or not. You're going to do it.
We're going to do it. It's going to sell. People love it.
It's got to be a better picture than last year, though.
You don't like that one with the Photoshop wizard hat?
No, it was Photoshopped on. Like
I worked really hard on that. Right after I worked on the picture of me dunking over Ben.
That's right. What was your initial reaction when you saw that picture?
I was just laughing, and the guys in the room gave me a hard time. But I mean, I don't know. It worked out last year. It was fine.
Who gave you the hardest time about that picture?
Probably Andre Schuster. Yeah, he's always joking around.
Yeah, he is. Big time joker.
Yeah.
Anything else from the ice, Joey, you want to get to? Because I want to get to really the question that I've wanted to ask him, because I've been told about how much of a restaurateur you are. And
That's what I want to hear about, too.
Are we ready to get there?
I'm all for that.
It's my burning question, Nick.
I'm big on that stuff, too.
Yeah,
so.
Food. I've been told you've been to every restaurant in Des Moines. Now, I know that's close.
Close.
Really?
It's close. I mean, every restaurant around here, probably. Yeah.
Like in like the more like maybe more downtown, the heart of downtown,
downtown, East
the
Village,
fringe of it,
a little bit around, yeah.
So walk us through the must-go places that Nic Petan's got. They're on your short list. Where are you going?
Short list. I eat pregame at Luca in the East Village.
Oh, great! Now you're gonna have fans showing up to sign autographs. They're gonna know that.
Oh, we all do. It's good. It's great pasta.
Yeah,
everyone loves it. It's open for lunch too, which is nice. And then when they're closed on Saturday, we go to Centro, which is downtown. Fresco is always a good place. Alba in the Village is great. I don't know. You kind of have to just like drive around and see, but I'd say that's the short list. I go to those places a lot. Splash is great on the corner.
Yeah.
801's always nice if you're willing to have spend a little more and have a nice steak. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard just to like think of them, but that's probably the gist of it in the small list there.
Hidden gems, a place that maybe you just sort of stumbled on. Because the ones you just named there, I think a lot of people who frequently eat out in Des Moines know those places. Is there anywhere where you maybe just kind of haphazardly walked into it and then you left going, man, this was a super spot? Just free ads all over the place right now.
This is
we're the king of free ads on this
I did the same thing with you this weekend.
I
had you give me recommendation. The place you gave me was like a hole in the wall.
I'll give free ads for Flying Mango all day long.
Have you been there?
If you like barbecue, Flying Mango,
good,
off the charts. Guy Fieri did a show there.
Well, I'm just getting back into town, so I'm blanking out on these names. But there's like a cool chicken spot on Ingersoll there. It's like fried chicken. It's really good.
When I think fried chicken, I think of Bubba.
Bubba's good too.
Bubba's good.
I love Bubba.
Yeah.
Bubba's great.
Bubba's
fried
good.
Chicken on Ingersoll.
Yeah, it's a small little place.
Harbinger.
Good spot.
Yep.
Yeah. Got to be in the mood for that kind of thing, but yeah, it's good.
Because they do the big 7-course, 8-course meals there. Because you can do I got a wife who's a big foodie too. You can do like the chicken option there. Well, they did that during COVID. It was a takeout order, but they kept it because it had so much success. That chicken's dynamite. But you can go there and do the whole 7 courses, like amuse bouche, the whole.
Right.
They put it. They really roll out the red carpet for you there.
Yeah.
But much like you said about 801. Bring your pocketbook. If you're going to go eat at Harbinger, you got to bring your pocketbook there. When my wife brings that up, I'm like, what occasion is this for again? Like, this isn't just we're going for fun,
It's Tuesday,
right?
Ben. What do you mean?
So, putting you on the spot, Nick, if there's one dish that you've had in Des Moines and I got it, and Nic Petan has to eat this dish for, let's say, 7 days straight, what comes to mind?
That's super tough. I'd have to go with probably my spot, Luca. Just pasta chicken. But they have so many different pastas, and at dinner they have a different menu for dinner, so you can get steak, salmon, chicken. So I would say if I had to eat there, I'd eat there every day. Yeah.
I think we're going to get a copy of this podcast. Get me a contact at Luca when you're over there. We're going to send this to them and say, this is how much we love.
I'm going to shout out Steven right now. He's the best. He's awesome. He wants to cater for us, too.
Okay.
That's a shout out.
Okay.
We're making moves right now.
Yeah,
so
we've
got to. I still. What I want to do is when I've talked about a little bit with Ben, but like, I think it'd be fun to find some of these restaurants where you really like to go and do like the diners, drives and dive style thing where we go in, they take us in the kitchen. It's like, how are we making this? You know, how can we learn and do stuff like that? I think that'd be a lot of fun to do.
I would be into that for sure. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Luca. We'll start with Luca.
We got the hocky wizard and the marketing wizard right here
moves.
spinning. Yeah, we're making moves.
And the broadcast team services wizard.
No, too many wizards. Too many wizards.
No such thing.
Too many wizards. Road cities. I don't want to get to too many of them, Nick, but any road cities that jump out to you as when you're on the American League circuit, and maybe it's even not a Central League or Central Division team. You've been in other divisions in the American League and the National League before. When you think about some of the great spots that stand out to you in your time playing pro now, coming up on a decade, what are the great restaurants that come up in your mind throughout North America?
It's super tough.
You really know how many restaurants he's been to when I asked this, and he's like, I got no clue, Ben.
Just going through the Rolodex. And it's just
It's super. It's been all over America and Canada, so
Yeah.
it's like so hard to put into a few or even one. But like I don't know, I'd say your cities in general is like, going to San Diego was great. Going to Palm Springs last year was great. You're always gonna find good restaurants there. I love California, so anywhere in that side. I play in Toronto. There's tons of good restaurants in Toronto. Yeah, I don't know, any kind of bigger city. But then I'm not throwing the little cities, like they're great too. They got little whether it's dive bars or little restaurants. It's I'm always open to going to check out new things.
Are you so obviously you'll go to all kinds of different restaurants, but is there like a certain style of food that you're more drawn to? Like, are you more of like, I really like Italian food, or I like Southern comfort, or?
I'm just biased. I don't know if it's one of the questions, but like my dad, I grew up in the restaurant business, or he had his own restaurant for 25 years. So my family was in the Italian restaurant business, so I'm biased saying that. So whenever I get kind of excited going to new Italian restaurants, and I like my wine, I like my pasta, and it's
Is
all,
there,
yeah.
if there, so I mean, there's plenty of iconic Italian dishes. Is there one that's like, this is my favorite of all of them?
Not really. If I had to pick, probably like I love a nice meat sauce, so bolognese. I like to try it everywhere. Like when I lived in Vancouver, I guess every summer for a while once I turned pro. So I used to go to all those restaurants, and my brother's like that too. So we always used to go together. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
2 familial notes I want to get to. First one, your brother Alex. He wore that logo at one point here. He was a part of the early goings of the Iowa Wild. How much did you check in with him when you were kicking around the idea of signing with Minnesota?
I did actually a little bit. I don't know whether he was still over in Europe or not, but I always check in with him. I'll call him, but for sure, because I knew he was here for a short stint. I don't know how long it was, but he told me kind of like where to go, whether it was West Des Moines or the Village or whatever. So he knew a little bit about it, and he had nothing but great things to say.
An excellent segue to bring up your father's pizzeria. I did want to ask you and your family and the loss of your father, you guys are mental health warriors. You're mental health champions. You have a golf tournament that you do every year to raise money towards, working towards getting a better state of mental health in our world. For anybody that might be tuning in out there right now that is going through it or is having a family member going through it, what's your message to them?
I actually think yesterday was World Mental Health Day, I believe. But yeah, me and my brother and my mom, we throw a golf tournament, and it's a Canadian Mental Health Association, Vancouver Fraser, which is a charity where we're from. So yeah, it's invitation only, but it's a lot of my dad's old friends, family friends, my friends, hockey players that are friends, and we kind of just get together once a year, raise money for the foundation, and it's cool to see everyone every year, and I think it's cool to check in, and it's just like a nice reminder why we're doing it. And I get tons of messages throughout all the years or since it's happened that advice I might have, which I'm kind of in the I guess mental health world now. I focus on it myself. My friends focus on it, kind of family members and all that. So I'm always open to hearing what people have, if there are questions or advice or anything like that. But I don't know if I over elaborated on that, but
couldn't have wonderfully said, Nick.
Yeah.
My final question is, you mentioned the 25 years, the Italian restaurant. What was the best dish at that place? People were coming in to eat there. What were they getting?
I don't know. It's so long ago now. I would have to say probably just a standard bolognese meat sauce dish. It's like the standard, but the pasta was great. Everything was great, and it's still there. It's run by a different kitchen now. It is still there, but we definitely don't go as often, obviously. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can you cook?
I can cook. I'm more of a cook in the summertime, I guess.
Yeah.
Obviously, I like to go out to eat in the winter, but I can cook. My brother is a way better cook than I am. My mom's a great cook. If I put the time and effort in, I'm into it, and I like to cook for other people and not just for myself. So if I'm into it, I'll cook, and I can usually make most dishes, but it's just about doing it.
What can't those hands do?
There you go.
That's all I got. Joe, anything to finish up our show here?
No. I just have ideas to start spinning, but we're good.
Nick, did we miss anything?
I don't think so. I think it was all good. Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Magical on and off the ice, the wizard Nic Petan. A big thanks for parking some time for us here. It's a busy week for him, too.
Yep.
Just as it's a busy week for us. A great chat with Nick. Loved some of the food stuff. Loved a few of those dishes he brought up. And a really intriguing guy. And a guy who doesn't give you all that right away. He's definitely a closed person. But as you get to know him better, the more he starts to shine and sparkle. And a really big part of that locker room, clearly, because he's going to be one of 3 guys wearing an A on his sweater this season. When we did this interview, he didn't know that, so we didn't talk about it. Yep. But the jersey behind us here does have an A on it. We made sure to keep it spun backwards so he didn't see it. But he will be one. Adam Beckman getting an A on the jersey this year, as well as Stephen Fogarty, who wore one last season, and no surprise, Dakota Murmis back with the C on his sweater this season. So those are your captains for the Iowa Wild. That has, of course, since been announced on our social channels the week previous as we record this. But nonetheless, a great group and a great guy in Nic Petan and a great leadership group there. You have, obviously, veteran-laden Fogarty, Murmis, and Petan, but then Adam Beckman, who certainly has become a leader in this dressing room, a guy who has spent more time here than actually all of those veterans, really, even though he's a lot younger.
Has he spent more time here than he's probably spent more time here than anybody on the roster, right?
I would
maybe
believe so. Yeah, him and Swaney would be about the same because Beckman played before and after during the 2021 COVID shortened campaign, which is just 34 games, I think is what it was. He played maybe 9 that year because he went back to the WHL because that team played. Remember, Ryan O'Rourke stayed because the OHL didn't play.
Right.
And Swaney came in after what was his senior season at UMD, the Bulldogs that year. And so they're roughly the same.
Right,
had a little cup of coffee in that COVID year, and then were full-timers after that. So, those would be the 2 guys that have spent the most days in Des Moines, if you want to count that. A lot of games played, though, behind Petan and Murmis and Fogarty. And even further than that, it's so funny with how young the decor is. The forward group is old.
Yeah.
I mean, Vinny Lettieri is a 300-plus pro game guy, a lot of AHL games, some NHL time in there. Obviously, Jujhar Khaira, mostly National Hockey League games. I remember him well from when he really broke in with the Edmonton Oilers and was a big part of a few playoff teams they had anchoring their 3rd, 4th line. So there's a lot of depth in that top group, not only from a skill perspective, but from an age perspective too. And they shouldn't have any veteran issues either this season, which is nice. Because
that's always
that was
the biggest
something
thing. That's always the biggest
as of right
thing.
now, the numbers fit. They can play enough. Kel Kessie's in that veteran exempt slot, so he can slot in. You can play 5 a night on the veteran side and then 1 on the veteran exempt side. So they should be good there. Remember running into that with Joseph Cramarosa last season. He was the odd man out and then eventually made his way out of Des Moines for that very reason. So we should be in good shape there. But let's wrap this up. Plenty for you to do, plenty for me to do here today. What do we need to get to put a lid on this? We've talked about the captains. What else?
Oh, I mean, just on the captain stuff. I mean, I think it's a really good mix of guys. Obviously, Nic Petan and even Stephen Fogarty. They're not the most outspoken players, right? They're not the rah-rah guys in the room. They are the lead by example guys. Like, this is how to be a pro type of deal. Whereas you got Murmis, who's definitely more vocal, and Adam Beckman, who's on the other end of the spectrum,
well
right?
documented.
So
yes,
you got a little bit of everything. You got they are all good leaders, and I think for Beckman, he's really turned into somebody that everybody can look to, and he knows what his role is here at the AHL level, but he's also a guy who definitely knows what his role is when that time comes to go up to Minnesota. When he got time up there last year, when he played in preseason games, obviously everybody wants to score and be an offensive dynamo. But he also knows that when he goes up there, he's got to adjust a little bit more and play that physical game, play a full 200-foot game, which is something he's talked about, Bill Guerin's talked about, coaches have talked about. So he's really taken that into account, and kind of what we saw with Marco when he was here last year. You're going to see Adam Beckman out there in all situations, in all likelihood. Penalty killing, power play, all these, as much ice time as possible to get him out there. So I really like what the selections they made from the leadership group. like you said, though, a lot of worthy guys, a lot of guys who've been around for. You know, goalies don't wear letters. Zane McIntyre is a big leader in this locker room.
Is.
So like, there's leadership. There's just because a guy wears a letter doesn't mean someone else can't step up and be a leader either. So we've got a good group. It seems like they're all meshing really well to start. And time will tell to see how it translates to on the ice play.
And it's important when you think about the departures of some really big voices.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and we're still looking to see maybe who are going to step into the roles of a Joe Hicketts, of a Turner Ottenbright, of a Mitchell Chafee. Those were guys who had voices in the room. They were looked upon, and it seems like it's become a next man up mentality here. Some with some new arriving faces, others with guys like Beckman who now will usurp some of those roles and know that because some of those voices are gone, Adam Beckman lived with Joe Hicketts for the last 2 seasons. So if anybody knows how to be like Joe, it's Adam. In a different way, though. He's not trying to be Joe Hicketts. There's only one of them.
But from a leadership standpoint, you pick those things up. And
Yeah.
you got to be a sponge, especially when you're a young guy in that locker room. So I think that's exactly what he's done.
So with that, we hope that you all had a magnificent time at opening weekend. Because as we record this, we don't know how that's going to play out.
No, we don't.
No, we don't.
We think we know how it's going to go.
We got a good feeling.
We hope we know how it's going to go.
I'm really intrigued to see the matchup with Henderson because as I was doing my homework last night on them, they're very big. And Iowa's not that big. So will it be speed? Will it be size? Fans know.
We'll see.
We don't.
We'll see. It's exciting. One, I guess, before we wrap, there is a huge, huge piece of news that we can share because by the time this comes out, it'll be public. But our post-game concert is, by this point, if you haven't heard of it,
get out from under the rock.
Well, not if you haven't heard of it. It's not get out from under the rock. Let me know because it should be everywhere.
Then that's on
me.
Yeah.
It's going to be out there. It's going to be very, very clear. But January 27th, after we take on the San Diego Gulls, we are once again hosting Country Night. And after the game, all those with a ticket will be able to enjoy a post-game concert featuring Mitchell Tenpenny, who is a multi-platinum recording artist, huge in the country scene right now. He's all over their, top 100, top 25 charts. So we're really excited to bring him in. VIP packs. Everything that you saw last year, all of that is on sale now. There are gold VIP packs that are starting at $30. That gets you an on-ice pass for the show. Ticket for the game would be sold separately there. Or you can get a platinum pass, which is $189. That comes with a ticket. That comes with all-you-can-eat food and drink and an ice suite access. It comes with a signed gift from Mitchell Tenpenny. It comes with front-of-stage access.
None of this is in front of him either, by the way. This is all recited.
I've written it down
all
so many
recited.
times. Commemorative lanyard and pass. You get a commemorative pass, too, if you're a Gold Pass member. And as we get closer to the game, those prices may increase. So, if you're planning on coming out here, get them sooner because the closer we get, similar to, day of game, ticket prices and things like that jump, get on it sooner. But we're really excited to have him. Obviously, the Russell Dickerson concert last year was tremendous. Mitchell Tenpenny, we've heard tremendous things from, his management team and the agency who, we work with, and they all just rave about him. And he's up and coming. He's been on tour with Luke Combs and Jason Aldean. He's going to be one of the next big things in the country music scene. So we're excited to have him. Get your tickets. Don't wait because the lower bowl will sell out, and it will sell out very, very quickly. So make sure you get those tickets. And I think that puts a bow on country night for me.
And we'll pray to the hockey gods that it doesn't snow like it did for Russell Dickerson.
Well, it did snow last year. We made that work. It's still great, but
it sure made getting to the rink a chore that day.
And that was March too, which is crazy. But January, you never know what you're going to get. But either way, we're really looking forward to it. It's a huge. Last year was the biggest game for us of the season. It was the biggest game for us for a lot of reasons, all time, organization wise. So just hoping to surpass that this year and just make a good night for everybody who's here.
Shout out to a job well done to all of the Iowa Wild staff on a successful opening weekend because we put in the work ahead of time. So even though this is being recorded before opening weekend, we know it's going to go off without a hitch and a big successful weekend. So shout out to everybody on our staff for the incredible and just toilsome work that everybody puts in to make this happen. And thanks to the On Ice Wizard, Nic Petan, to the marketing wizard, Joey Goldstein, for making this episode possible today.
The broadcasting wizard and team
too many
services
wizards.
wizards.
Too many wizards.
There's no such thing. I've seen Harry Potter. There's no such
Too
thing.
many wizards.
There's no
Too many
such
wizards.
thing. Nope. Nope.
And also to Jeremy Core and Executive Podcast Solutions for making this listenable from however you're tuning into us here today, and also to Marquise Jones for editing on the YouTube side. A big pleasure to be heard, a big pleasure to be seen. Thank you for tuning in. This has been episode 25 of Ridin the Bus, the official Iowa Wild podcast presented by Explore Minnesota. And until we set sail next time, 2 honks for the win.